Australia, Indonesia, Russia, Greece, these are just a few of the countries where massive wildfires have broken out in recent years. 3 brutal blazes devastated parts of the western United States in 2013, and another wildfire was burning near California's Big Sur region in mid-December.
Fire experts say most of these so-called megafires stem from a combination of climate change, land use, and human mismanagement. VOA's Mark Snowiss has been looking into this, and he told me what he found. Let's begin with the start of his report.
Colorado, June 2013. The Black Forest Fire destroys more than 500 homes. Weeks later, Arizona's Yarnell Hill Fire kills 19 firefighters from the elite Granite Mountain hotshots. Then, in August, California's Rim Fire, the third largest blaze in state history, threatens San Francisco's water supply.
You talk about the developed world, and your story specifically focused on the United States, but this is not just a U.S. problem. Tell us about what's going on in the rest of the world.
Well, it depends where in the rest of the world. Basically, in the developed world, like Australia, the United States, Canada, even Russia to a certain extent, it's a similar pattern. You know, like in Australia, you also have cities expanding, suburbs growing, and then this kind of political pressure to suppress fire. But it has failed in every country naturally prone to fire that has tried it, says Arizona State University's Stephen Pine, who spoke to VOA via Skype.
The smoke is on the horizon and the TV cameras are out. It seems like an easy solution to call in the troops, bring in the airplanes and the helicopters, bomb it away, and then the problem is gone. All we've done is put it off.
In other words, suppression is a temporary fix that creates more dangerous fires later. It allows the buildup of lower vegetation or fuel that can carry fire to taller treetops. There's good fire. There's kind of good fire and bad fire. And when you suppress fire to protect property or for other reasons, you're going to create more out of control, larger fires later. And that's sort of what's been happening in the last 20 years. Those countries that see people leaving cities in the developed world, that's what you have. But you also have countries like in Greece and Portugal, where those are also fire-prone areas in the Mediterranean. But those countries are kind of catching up on economic development. They're maybe a couple decades behind. And you have people entering the cities. You have traditional landowners and villagers that used to put small control burns on their land and take care of their land. They're leaving the land. And then when they come into the cities, that land just lies there, the fuel grows up, and you get the same situation, but from the reverse causality.
Let's talk about this idea of good fire versus bad fire, because I think most people, when you think of fire, you think that's bad. We don't want fire. So what's a good fire?
Really, good fires are smaller fires that are allowed to burn, clear out lower vegetation. The more mature trees stay, they don't get burned down, because the fire also is lower.
It's not growing as much.
It's not going to take off. And the trees, the mature trees, are going to remain after the fire, and that's going to be healthy. It's like weeding your garden. When you get the weeds out, the healthy shrubs and the trees stay there, and what you don't want, you take out. So that's where we've gotten out of balance, and now more fires are kind of bad in a way because they're so huge and they're so costly and they're so dangerous. They're burning down houses and they're putting firefighters at risk, and they're just costing more and more money, and it's getting out of control.
You talk to fire officials and fire experts about this problem. What do they say needs to be done?
Everybody pretty much knows that we have to change the way that we're handling fire. A number of experts are saying that money has to be redirected to fuel reduction, it's called, where you go out in the wintertime, you hire crews when it's not fire season, clear out some of the brush. But one thing that's interesting that people are saying is that maybe we need to move kind of towards a hurricane model. Like when the hurricane's coming, basically you board up and you leave town, and then you come back and deal with the issue. With fires getting so huge, that's also one suggestion that some people have, is not to lose lives protecting property when that property is built in areas that are sort of the fire equivalent to a floodplain.
All right, our thanks to Mark Snowiss of VOA News. Now, in March of 2014, a United Nations panel will publish a report that discusses wildfires as part of a broader look at global climate change.